Modern Love, the podcast, is supported by...
Produced by the iLab at WBUR, Boston.
From the New York Times and WBUR Boston, this is Modern Love. Stories of love, loss, and redemption. I'm your host, Meghna Chakrabarty. Hey, Modern Love listeners. We're thinking about all of you in this moment. How are you doing? We're now well into quarantine, and I know it's been a huge adjustment for you. It's definitely been a huge adjustment for us. It's incredible how much and how quickly life has changed. And that includes our love lives. I'll give you a little example from my own. Just last night, I decided that before dinner, my kids, my husband, and I would sit together and one by one just say, "I love you, and here's why," to each of us. It's something that we do, but not often enough, so I thought it would be a sweet, quick little thing, like a fast squeeze of the hand when you're feeling a bit low. Well, it wasn't quick. All of us ended up talking a lot about each other, long lists of why we love each other, everything from being soulfully connected to, "I love you, Dada, because you're a nice chap, and you let me eat brownies." That was the honest, pure expression of love from our 5-year-old. Well, we asked you to send us voice memos telling us how this pandemic is changing your relationships, and we heard from so many of you from all over the world, and you had a lot of stories to share. So we're going to play some of those stories for you today, starting with this story from listener Claire.
My very good friend and I confessed our feelings for each other on Sunday night. We had our first date on the next day, which was a Monday. And then the day after that, a Tuesday, we found out that we'd both been exposed to coronavirus. And so we quarantined together. And so in the span of about 48 hours, we went from being friends to being in love with each other openly, to dating, to spending every waking moment together for 2 whole weeks. And it feels inappropriate to be this happy, but I'm really happy.
And here's a voice memo from Corey.
A couple weeks ago, I met a woman on Hinge, and she is a beverage director for a pretty well-known New York City restaurant. I'm a video director for a food brand, and we decided that it'd be fun to go on a date at a brand new New York wine bar. And then all of this happened, and everything shut down, including pretty much all of her work. We kept texting, and I said, well, maybe we should still go on the wine date. Let's just do it over FaceTime. So she told me a wine store to go get a bottle of wine at, told me to not tell her what I was buying, and said that she would walk me through the tasting notes of the wine, and then she would try to guess what kind of wine it was and where it was from. So we did a FaceTime call, and that was the first time we'd ever met. And we just talked. We talked about how things are, and then we played the wine game. And she was able to guess the wine within 1 year of the vintage and the country that it was from. So she's a total pro. And then we talked some more, and then said goodbye. And we cheersed our glasses to the screen and said, you know, this is a really weird time, and this is tough for everyone, but we will get through this. And it was definitely the most interesting date I've ever been on. And it was a really great way to meet somebody and a great way to connect during a time like this.
So I actually met my current boyfriend Valentine's Day, and it was just my luck that we started dating 2 days before our university told us to vacate the campus immediately because of the coronavirus situation. And when I received their email, I just felt my heart drop because I thought of the moments of intimacy you have at the beginning of a relationship and that we would lose that. And we were packing away our things in these large cardboard boxes and just rushing to share everything with each other. And at first I thought it would be difficult because he lives in Munich, Germany, which is 4,000 miles from where I live in Princeton. But it's actually been pretty rewarding building a relationship around where we're from and having the opportunity to share through photos or FaceTimes the foods, habits, and cultures we have apart from college and just appreciate each other more because of this.
For some of you, it wasn't that you were starting new relationships. Your relationships were changing during this moment. That was the case for Audrey and Mark. They had been in a long-distance relationship for years, but on March 14th, Audrey moved to New York City, where Mark lives. That was right when New York City was beginning drastic quarantine measures to contain COVID-19.
So we went from almost 5 years of a long-distance relationship to a mandatory quarantine. It's been a week. Feels like longer. It's been a strange time to celebrate a new stage of our relationship while being completely uncertain of the future. But that's our story. 4.5 years of long distance to quarantine. And if this is the universe's weird way of rewarding us, we get the point.
Hi, this is Catherine Down. I'm in Paris, France. Nothing says love in the time of coronavirus quite like dashing out in the middle of the workday on our last day before the big lockdown to the mairie's office so that I could be legally certified as my French boyfriend's concubine, concubine is an actual status that you can have. I think it has different connotations in French than it does in English. It's not married, but it's two people who live together who are in an exclusive relationship, and it affords you certain rights under the law. So it allows me to be on his health care, for example, which didn't necessarily seem super important until we were suddenly in the midst of a global pandemic. I figure if our relationship can survive quarantine, it can survive just about anything.
And here's listener Debbie. She and her fiancé Patrick were planning to get married at the courthouse in Santa Barbara, California later this spring. They went to go make a reservation for their ceremony, but it didn't work out the way they'd planned.
When we got to the courthouse, they were taping off areas and putting up signs. The clerk looked at us sadly and said, due to COVID-19, they were closing up the courthouse for weddings and there would be no more reservations indefinitely. We started to leave, and Patrick took my hand and asked, what about now? What about right now? We went back to the clerk asking if today would work. The answer was yes, from her and me. Patrick and I got married on Friday the 13th. We wore jeans, sweatshirts. John from accounting was our witness and photographer, and Armando was our officiant. It was perfect.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more of your stories in a minute. We're back with your stories of how COVID-19 is impacting your relationships. And we heard from some of you that your quarantine is causing breakups or coinciding with one.
My name is Allison, and I'm a Canadian living in Doha, Qatar. My partner was a pilot, and he broke up with me 2 days ago because he anticipates that he will potentially lose his job. And of course, I've been very devastated. It's difficult at this time. I actually downloaded Tinder just for emotional support, not as if I would ever meet up with these people and be irresponsible, but I'm experiencing a breakup right now during a global pandemic, and it's not easy. And I'm thinking of all the other people who are experiencing the same. Hang in there.
Hi there, my name is Jenna. My love story is actually that my marriage is ending at this exact time. So it's kind of a story of mourning a love that once was, and it's really terrible timing, and it's hard at this point in time because we can't go anywhere, right? We're stuck at home together, and so I'm trying to separate my life from this man in a non-physical way, which is really painful. And I think someone from the outside might say, like, why would you go through with this right now? Like, this is the worst possible time. And like I said, it was all happening before all of this, and the ball was rolling, and I couldn't stop it. And so it's really sad. But that's my story. Took a couple minutes to just pull over on the side of the road, actually, before I got home to face the reality of this and leave this voicemail.
We received this next voice memo as an email attachment. The email that came with it said it was a, quote, middle-of-the-night insomnia recording from Seattle. Let's just say we understand.
My name's Elia. It's been over 2 weeks since I've touched anyone. I live alone. I have no partner. I have no pets. And I've been trying my best to practice physical distancing to help keep people safe and healthy. But it's lonely. I don't know what dating looks like. The idea of doing Zoom dates like I do Zoom everything else in my life, from work meetings to Zumba to Kung Fu to happy hours, just doesn't feel that satisfying. But I don't know what this time of loneliness looks like for the indefinite future.
Hello, my name is Katie Ward. I have been married to my husband, Chris Ward, for more than 50 years. He, for the last 20 years, has had Alzheimer's, which has been progressive. For the last 4 years, he has been in a memory care center where I go to visit him twice each day. He hasn't known me for a long time. And so it was until COVID-19 came along. Now I go to visit twice a day, and I stand outside a window in the rain and in the snow and in the fog, and I try to engage his eyes, try to engage his attention. I do this because I dearly love this man.
One theme that kept coming up over and over again: you're all relying on each other to get through this.
I am a nurse practitioner and have been going to work every day, and my mom has been coming to my house every day to help my husband, who's working from home with our 3 kids, who are 10 months, 4, and 6 years old. Almost a year ago, 2 days before my son was born, my mom's husband died, and she has taken all of her love that she had for her husband and transferred it to us. She brings dinner, and she has been amazingly helpful in this crazy time when our schools and our daycare is closed and I still have to work. And I've been thinking every day about how I can even say thank you.
Hi, my name is Marin. I'm calling from Heidelberg in Germany. I am in day 11 of my self-imposed quarantine after having been in contact with a person who is now confirmed to have coronavirus. I only told my closest friends and my boyfriend and my family about this But word got around quite quickly through my larger groups of friends, and people kept calling, people kept checking in to make sure I was okay, to make sure that I wasn't feeling too lonely, that I kept going through these troubling times. Having so much support gets me going through the day and make sure that I'm staying sane, even though I'm not actually talking to anyone in person. I hope everyone stays safe. Call your loved ones, call your friends, make sure they're fine. Lots of love from Heidelberg.
And we're all trying to find our new normal in whatever way we can.
Hey, Modern Love. This is Lisa in Washington, D.C. My husband and I are used to going out on a date night every weekend. And since we can only stay indoors right now, we decided to bring a restaurant to our dining room. So we put out some nice table linens and candles, and we got my teenage daughter to be our server and hostess, which she was excited to do because we told her we would leave her a tip. So we just kind of invented a restaurant in our house for the night, and it worked out great. It was really fun, and it was nice to get out of our sweatpants and put real clothes on and everything.
But sometimes in this moment, normal life has to stop for a little while. That was the case for Cassidy. She shared a story of how she quarantined in her sister's basement while her sister was having a baby.
I had found out 48 hours before that I was in contact with a positive case, my own dad, and potentially and unknowingly put my loved ones at risk. As my sister gave birth in the hospital, I shut myself off downstairs without any natural light. Food was delivered by her mother, we are stepsisters, and I only left the house to be tested. As they came home with my new baby nephew, I waited below all my loved ones alone for my test results. Today, March 27th, is my 33rd birthday, and I found out at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time today that my test was negative. The best birthday present in the world was getting to hold my nephew for the first time.
Well, that's it for this episode of Modern Love. Stay well and stay safe. And thank you so much to everyone who contributed to this week's episode. You can find a full list of contributors at wbur.org/modernlove. And we may do this again, so keep sending us your voice memos. And you can find out how, again, at wbur.org/modernlove. Let's go out on a song composed by listener Holly. She's a firefighter and a paramedic in Washington State. And she says she hopes people appreciate the humor in this song, reworked for this current moment, written from the boat where she was self-isolating.
Ooh, coronavirus, you keep me home at night. Coronavirus, no one will hold me tight. Coronavirus, stand over there while I say, don't touch me, baby, don't take me down this way. Don't touch me, baby, don't wanna die this way. Wash your goddamn hands, just wash your goddamn hands.
Modern Love is a production of The New York Times and WBUR, Boston's NPR station. It's produced, directed, and edited by Caitlin O'Keefe. Original scoring and sound design by Matt Reed. Iris Adler is our executive producer. We're edited by Catherine Brewer. Daniel Jones is the editor of Modern Love for The New York Times and advisor to the show. The idea for the Modern Love podcast was conceived by Lisa Tobin. Additional thanks to Mia Lee, Julia Simon, and Anya Stremian at The New York Times, and to Michael Garth at WBUR. I'm Meghna Chakrabarty. See you next week.